Well, good morning. What a beautiful day it is. Thank you all for joining us today with, I think, a really exciting announcement regarding I-81. First of all, I'd like to thank some individuals. Our Secretary of Transportation has joined us, Shannon Valentine. Thank you for your leadership and all of your work with this. We also have our Deputy Secretary of Transportation, Nick Donahue. Thank you for your leadership as well. And it is always good to be with my fellow legislators. Senator John Edwards, thank you for being here. Mr. Delegate Hurst, thank you for your leadership. Cree Deeds, Terry Austin, and Tony Will. Thank you. Please give them a round of applause. Back in January, I stood with a bipartisan group of legislators from the I-81 corridor to talk about the issues with this road and our solutions. We had agreed that something must be done to fix the problems on I-81. As people along I-81 know, the road is unreliable and often unsafe. It needs improvements. We all agreed that we needed to find a way to pay for $2 billion in improvements to make I-81 safer and more reliable. Unfortunately, we did not reach a consensus on where that funding would come from before the session ended. So I'm here today with amendments that I'm proposing for next week's reconvened session to try to find a new way to address these pressing issues on I-81. This proposal will establish dedicated funding for I-81, as well as some of Virginia's other transportation priorities. We cannot sit back and let the problems continue. Talk and civil dialogue are important, but action speaks much louder than words. As we like to say on the Eastern Shore, Senator Deeds, it's time to either fish or cut bait. If you all want to come fishing, you come visit us on the Eastern Shore. In a Virginia Transportation Construction Alliance poll last December, more than half of the respondents said they don't feel safe on I-81. I was on I-81 yesterday. We were on it again today. There is no question that it is anxiety-provoking. Every year, there are 2,000 crashes on I-81, 2,000. That's over 5 crashes per day. That includes more than 45 accidents that take more than 4 hours to clear. Importantly, this is also an economic issue. I-81 carries 42% of all the interstate truck traffic in Virginia, hauling more than $300 billion in goods every year. And it's also a critical local road for the communities it passes through. I-81 is the economic main street of Western Virginia, and it must be a reliable route for commerce. I think it is apparent, especially on a day like today, the Southwest is beautiful and offers many tourist attractions. But people need a safe and reliable interstate in order to visit. Over the years, I-81 has seen a lot more traffic and vehicle miles traveled, but it has remained largely unchanged, and we have not funded the improvements it needs. Several of our other interstates, like I-95, I-64, and I-66, have dedicated sources of revenue, like regional taxes and tolls to pay for improvements. That's why you see billions of dollars of work underway on those roads. I-81 has no dedicated funding source, and existing resources can't support the improvements it needs. Last year, I signed a bill asking our Commonwealth Transportation Board to undertake a study of the I-81 corridor. The CTB identified more than $2 billion in needed capital improvements. When these improvements are made, they will help reduce delays by over 6 million hours and eliminate 450 crashes each year. But making these improvements will take money, and finding money requires us to make tough choices. The amendments I'm proposing will create the dedicated revenue we need to make I-81 a safe, reliable, modern interstate. We will bring Virginia's truck registration fee and diesel and road tax rates more in line with those of the other states along the I-81 corridor. This funding will help 81 as well as other interstates. We're also proposing a dedicated regional motor fuels tax along the I-81 corridor. Together, these amendments establish a dedicated funding stream for I-81, while also addressing funding on Virginia's other interstate highways. Most importantly, this will improve safety and reliability on I-81. We'll be making an historic investment in the economic competitiveness of this vital region of our beautiful Commonwealth. We can't keep waiting to fix I-81. Improving this road is critical to the economy of Western Virginia and to the safety of all those who travel I-81. I hope the General Assembly will support these proposals when they come back to Richmond next week. So on April the 3rd, our legislators will come back for reconvened session, and I hope you all will reach out to them and let them know how important this project is. I want to introduce Secretary Valentine. We have been able collectively, and when I say collectively, legislators like the ones behind me that work so many times in bipartisan ways, we have a cabinet that is second to none, and they are doing wonderful work for the Commonwealth, and one of them is here with me today, and I couldn't be prouder of Secretary Valentine for the work that she's done. And I will tell you that this project, these discussions have been going on for years, and for her and her staff to be able to reach out to legislators, to community leaders, to business leaders, it is a tremendous amount of work, and it is work often that goes unrecognized and people aren't thanked enough for what they do. But so Shannon, I thank you and I commend you for your leadership, and I just appreciate all you do for the Commonwealth, and welcome to Salem. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Governor, we fish over here as well. Yeah. I really do want to give a special thanks to Governor Northam, who has remained committed to this region and committed to finding a solution to fix 81. And the legislators who are standing here with us today, and the other legislators along the corridor who have invested more than a year of time on this particular proposal going forward, attending several, if not all, of the 12 public hearings, listening to more than 2,000 comments, developing the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program that resulted in SB 1716, patroned by Senators Obenchain and Carrico, and HB 2718, patroned by Delegates Landis and Austin, all of whom deserve special thanks for navigating the passage of both bills that endorse the $2 billion program with investments in capital, operations, law enforcement, and multimodal solutions. It endorsed a governance structure, an I-81 corridor fund, all of which are important but not impactful without the funding. So today I'm here with Governor Northam and with leaders who simply have refused to give up on this issue. So what do the governor's amendments do? They identify and dedicate $150 million for I-81 to implement the $2 billion program recommended by the CTB in December and voted upon by the General Assembly only weeks ago, making possible improved safety and increased reliability along the corridor, measuring 25 to more than 120% more reliability in our congested areas. And because of the nexus between funding and vehicle miles traveled by trucks, the amendments also allocate funding to other major interstates in Virginia. $39 million for I-95, $27 million for 64, $20 million for the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, $42 million to be prioritized by the Commonwealth Transportation Board for other interstate improvements. which creates the opportunity on average for nearly 28% of smart scale to be open and available for other transportation priorities. And for those of you here today who know, just in this last round of smart scale, which is our prioritization process for identifying and selecting projects, we had $7 billion of requests for $780 million of funding. We are only able to fund a fraction of what Virginia needs in transportation. So how do we make this possible? With 41% of all the truck traffic traveling the 81 corridor, these amendments bring in line truck registration fees and diesel and road taxes more in line with the averages among those states along the 81 corridor, which include Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Tennessee, and West Virginia, and generate for the Commonwealth $76 million from truck registration fees, $100 million for diesel and road taxes, well below the average on the 81 corridor, to be phased in over 3 years with distribution of revenue determined by vehicle miles traveled by trucks on the interstates. The final component is a 2.1% regional motor fuels tax along 81 that raises $60 million dedicated to the corridor. As a total of nearly $279 million, with $159 million of it designated just for 81, a corridor that has been described as an economic main street and a critical north-south backbone of the East Coast freight network. A truck registration fee, diesel and road tax, 2.1% motor fuels tax, all working together to support the economic viability and competitiveness of this region, as well as interstates across the Commonwealth. For more than a year, Governor Northam and this administration have worked side by side with citizens, businesses, community leaders, public safety personnel, and legislators from both sides of the aisle to create the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program. Today, we deliver a plan to get it done. I'd like to offer special thanks again to Governor Northam and to all of you here who have been willing to work with us. The Virginia Trucking Association, Dale Bennett is here today. I don't know if Mr. Ward Best has joined us, but we thank you for working with us to make this proposal even better. The Virginia Transportation Construction Alliance, Jeff Southard, the I-81 Federation, thank you all for being here. Virginia West, CTB members Dixon Whitworth, Ray Smoot, Jerry Stinson, our district engineers Ken King, Randy Hamilton, Randy Kaiser, citizens, businesses, chambers, alliance, coalitions all over this region who have stuck with this issue and have stuck with us. Thank you all very much.
As you can see, this is a team effort, and I thank the team. The numbers, we just went through a lot of numbers. If the press would like those, we have a sheet that will review those for you as well. I'll be glad to answer a couple questions if there are any.
Governor, how important was it to get a statewide solution and one that didn't include tolls?
Well, as you know, our plan that we initially put on the table did include tolls. That was not accepted by legislators from different parts of the Commonwealth, and one of the challenges, and we have 140 great legislators, and they all come from different areas of the Commonwealth. They all have different agendas, and so it was a challenge to get everybody on the same sheet of music, as we say. And so we have worked very hard to include people from, when I say people, legislators, to include up in Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads. So the answer to your question, it was very important to pull all of those individuals together. And I think, again, Shannon and her leadership has done a good job at doing that. We'll continue to work with our legislators between now and Wednesday. But this is a very important vote that individuals will take, and I appreciate them being able to take that vote on Wednesday.
How optimistic are you that they will take a vote on it? You spoke with the Kirk Hospital, putting something out there to ask public input.
Well, you know, I'm a glass is half full person. This is vitally important for our economy. You hear me say every day that I want Virginia to be the strongest economy, the best place for businesses, the best place for workers. And if we're going to be number one in this country, which I think we can, we need to invest in our transportation and infrastructure. So I would just encourage all of you to communicate with the legislators and let them know how important this is, not only for the corridor along I-81, but for all of Virginia.
And you said when you were driving on the I-81 earlier that was anxiety. What specifically about it made you a little bit worried to drive down it?
Well, it's a great question, and I went to school in Lexington. I attended VMI, and I used to drive on 81 a lot. That was back in the early 80s. There is no question that the volume, I mean, you can just look out here right now, the volume on I-81 with both cars, trucks, campers, you name it, has increased significantly, and it has made it more unreliable and less safe. And that's just a sign of the times, and that's a good thing. I mean, Virginia's growing. People want to be in Virginia, but if we're going to be able to accommodate them, we need to take care of our transportation and infrastructure.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.